Chapter 7. Into the Thick of It. Sulu Sea, Philippines. The salty sea air rushed over the ship's bow as Jack savored the boundless ocean view, relishing the familiar sensation of being back on the water. What made the experience even better was that he was aboard a cargo ship this time, a stark contrast to the amphibious assault ships he had previously served on, where he had to share the confined space with thousands of sailors and Marines. He recollected the excruciatingly long lines for food that stretched for hours on end. Now, on the cargo ship, although he still shared the bunk space with Carlos and Sal below, there was considerably more room to move about. The archaeologists occupied the larger bunk spaces below decks, while the security contractors claimed the upper decks. While Jack was on his 4-hour security shift meant to deter possible pirates, he scanned the bow's horizon, viewing the cloudless blue sky reflecting on the tides. In the distance, he could make out the variety of islands flying past the cargo ship. It was only the sounds of the wind and the crashing of water against the hull that filled the ambience. While the waters were calm, Jack let himself think about Maria. He thought about her beauty, her ambition, and her sense of independence. He also thought about how he let her walk away. It stung, but it was part of the chase that Maria was leading him on. He would have to find a way to turn the tables and make her chase him. Since their date, Jack and Maria hadn't had the opportunity for personal conversations. Maria had been engrossed in discussions with Dr. Taylor and the other archaeologists, focusing on the logistics and specifics of the dig site. In a moment of curiosity, Jack took a peek into the room to hear Maria fervently explaining the rationale for excavating 5 miles north of Mount Malandang, almost as if she knew something that the rest didn't. While they still crossed paths on the ship, their interactions consisted of casual conversations, often laced with playful banter initiated by Jack. He was well aware that it was considered unprofessional to engage in a romantic relationship with a client, but there was an undeniable allure about Maria Gutierrez that he found difficult to resist. By day 2, the ship had docked into the Roxas port of Mindanao. After waking up from a nap in their bunks, Jack, Carlos, Sal, and half of the other security contractors were assigned to secure the dock and ensure the offload of vehicles before disembarking the archaeologists. Stepping onto the solid cement ground of the dock, Jack's senses absorbed the novel sights and sounds of Mindanao. The modest port was home to the lone ship that had brought them there. A short distance away, a quaint coffee shop and bar perched along the shoreline, catering to the local community. As he glanced further up the beach, Jack noticed the establishment's patrons and the tranquil scene of beachgoers. A handful of inquisitive children momentarily halted their play in the water, their gazes fixated on the group of foreigners who had just arrived. Upon departure of the ship, Jack and the rest of the security team were dressed in full gear. This meant top-of-the-line military gear dressed over outdoor civilian clothes. Jack ensured that his Mk-18 assault rifle held a round in the chamber and adjusted his EO optic before setting security on the outside perimeter of the dock. When the fleet of matte green Gurkha F-5 tactical vehicles with the Boone Tactical logo drove off the ramp of the ship and onto the dock, Jack first saw how tough yet opulent these vehicles were. The armored cars had a luxurious base to them, almost like a high-end SUV, yet the vehicles were tailored with rough edges, graded windows, an overhead porthole with mounted 50 cal machine guns, headlamps, and reinforced tires, making it look like the perfect blend between a celebrity's car and a military vehicle. The archaeologists' supplies, including digging equipment and provisions, were stuffed in the back of every vehicle. Sal revved up the one specifically for the medical personnel due to its longer rear to sit 4 supine or 8 ambulatory patients in the back. Sal felt the powerful hum of the vehicle make the mechanical beast come to life. He soothed his hand over the dash, instantly falling in love with the machine. Carlos teased him for that as he took up the passenger side with his medical bag, while Jack stood by outside to set security around the convoy. Through the team's radio communication, the archaeologists were granted permission to disembark from the boat, and the security contractors guided them toward the waiting vehicles. Jack glanced around, hoping to spot Maria among the group. Just as he was about to give up and climb into Sal and Carlos's medical vehicle, he heard the opposite backseat door open. "Hello, boys," Maria sarcastically cheered. Despite the persistent humidity in Mindanao, Maria managed to maintain her hair in a neat ponytail, with 2 strands framing her face and secured by a rolled-up yellow bandana. Her wing-tipped eyeliner remained unaffected by the dampness, showcasing her expertise in makeup that could withstand challenging conditions. Maria's attire reflected her status as an experienced adventurer, and she wore a green burlap satchel slung tightly across her body. What was interesting to Jack was that she had a belt with a Gerber multi-tool, a small waterproof radio, and a sheath for a sharp, albeit weathered, machete. "I didn't know you were packing," Jack questioned. "I'm going to tell you now, boys. I like to go alone, so I'm going to bring my own defense, thank you very much," Maria retorted. "No, you ain't," Jack argued. Maria just looked at him, then quickly leaned into his ear and whispered, "Make me." There was something about her voice that made Jack's heart beat faster and his skin tingle. "Ah, Jack, just let the princess have her sword," Carlos laughed. "And as good as these cars are, they don't have a magical wall that I can separate you two from us, so just stick to heavy petting or something while we drive." Both Jack and Maria lay back in their respective seats. Jack was trying to muffle a laugh while Maria glared outside disapprovingly. The convoy sprang to life, and the vehicles began their journey along the Ipil-Dipolog highway. The abundant foliage of the trees obscured much of the surrounding scenery. Nevertheless, the contractors manning the formidable 50 caliber machine guns atop the large, robust vehicles scrutinized their respective areas with great care. Before long, signs of civilization came into view. Amidst the dense trees, the landscape transformed, featuring a wide spectrum of dwellings, from expansive colonial houses set amidst vast farmlands to compact clusters of straw huts surrounding bustling market stalls where fruits and meats were on display. The island of Mindanao seemed to be a peaceful province of the Philippines. From the children playing in the streets to men and women riding around without caution on motorized scooters and bikes made it seem like the only danger to the place was the series of military vehicles driving hastily down the road armed with high-end weapons. "How much do you think it would be to take a vacation here?" Carlos rhetorically asked. Jack and Maria looked at each other for a brief moment. Jack started to think that the contract with Boone Tactical seemed a bit overboard for a bunch of archaeologists to be digging up World War II artifacts. However, there was some merit to Westpac's security request. On the island of Mindanao, the city of Marawi was a battleground in May 2017 due to the presence of extremist groups. While the presence of insurgents and extremists is notable to this day, they are relegated to the central or eastern parts of Mindanao, the second largest island in the Philippines. The contract was still a blanket of security, though, for foreigners digging up trinkets and artifacts that could cost millions of dollars. The tactical vehicles passed along dozens of farms as they turned onto the Dipolog-Pagadian highway. By then, the rain had started, and the heavy flow of water drenched the streets and anyone sitting on top of the vehicles manning their weapons. By late afternoon, the heavy tactical vehicles took a left turn onto a small dirt road, which then opened up to a wide-open field surrounded by dense vegetation. Mount Malandang could barely be seen in the distance due to the low rain clouds blocking much of the larger view and the approaching darkness of the night. The tactical vehicles proceeded along the village's main road, situated adjacent to the archaeological dig site. The drivers skillfully maneuvered the sizable, rugged vehicles to avoid the narrow side streets, and the gunners positioned on top maintained vigilant surveillance as the village offered numerous hiding spots and the rain obstructed their line of sight. While the security contractors exercised caution, their most noteworthy interaction with the village involved the awestruck children who gazed in amazement at the massive tactical vehicles passing through. The rest of the villagers appeared largely indifferent to their presence. While the archaeologists stayed inside the tactical vehicles, keeping to themselves by reading various academic materials or complaining about the rain, the security team went out into the rain to build the area. Anyone not on the mounted machine guns was to get out and set up respective tents, with Jack, Sal, and Carlos building the medical tent. As Jack struggled in the rain to take control of the beam to uphold the tent, he found himself fighting against the wind. With Sal and Carlos on the other side, the rain and wind made him struggle to get the beam up. Only a pair of hands coming from behind helped him stabilize the beam. "Come on, jarhead," Maria teased in the pouring rain. Jack's spirit brightened in the abominable weather when Maria helped the team out. The four of them then set up the stretchers and the rest of the medical boxes inside the tent, making it a fully functional aid station. As nightfall descended, the area transformed into a bustling hub of activity. An operations tent stood at the center, equipped with functioning internet and power, serving as the command post for the archaeological team to coordinate their excavation efforts and process the discovered artifacts. Two larger tents had been erected for accommodations, with one housing the archaeologists and the other the security contractors. Inside these tents, rows of cots provided sleeping quarters for everyone, along with ample space for gear storage. Jack, Sal, and Carlos, however, opted to make their lodging in the aid station tent they had set up, offering them a tad more privacy than the standard accommodations. While the entire team of archaeologists retired to their bunks for the night, the security contractors remained vigilant in teams, prepared to maintain security despite the darkness and pouring rain. Amidst the relentless downpour that drenched him through his poncho liner, Jack trudged through the long grass on the jungle's border, determined to stay alert during the night shift. As a former Recon Marine accustomed to Okinawa's monsoon rains, he found providing security in the Philippine jungle equally challenging and monotonous, resembling the surveillance of enemy positions during a recon mission. His routine involved intermittently switching on a red flashlight to briefly scan the dark, shadowy jungle, and then moving to a different location along the perimeter. This red light allowed him to maintain his natural night vision when it was turned off. While several others shared the perimeter with him, Matt had enforced strict noise discipline, prohibiting any conversation. Jack didn't mind the silence, as his thoughts drifted to Maria. Her departure from the room before their almost kiss, their time together in the tactical vehicle, and the moments when her sassy voice met his gaze on the beach. He found solace in these memories as the rain soaked his body and thunder echoed in the background. By morning, another contractor had taken over his shift. As the sun broke through the trees, the archaeologists hiked onto a footpath deeper into the jungle on their way to start the excavation process. A few security contractors went with them to watch over them. A full week went by as the archaeologists, along with the help of the nearby villagers, dug into the nearby mountain every day looking for the lost World War II gold. What was surprising to Jack, along with the rest of the contractors, was that they were actually pulling up World War II-era artifacts, including old uniforms, weapons, swords, and even bodily remains. However, there still wasn't any gold to be found. It wasn't until an indigenous boy who was helping Maria on the outskirts of the dig crawled through a dirt hole hidden in the side of the mountain that they were able to find the skeleton of a Japanese soldier with a gold bullion in his pack. When Jack, Sal, and a few others went to secure the site to prevent any other eyes from seeing it, Jack became suspicious of how Maria was able to find such an artifact so quickly and precisely. On the morning marking the end of the second week, Jack was starving after a full night of guard duty. The rain was starting to withdraw itself after a full 4 hours of drenching him. With the sun coming up, Jack walked over to the aid station to see if either Sal or Carlos were willing to go into the nearby village with him. Jack found the two of them waking up from their slumber. They had spent all night in the large, dry tent, sleeping on the stretchers regularly used for patients seeing Carlos. "Hey, boys, I'm making my way into the village. You guys want anything?" Jack said as he turned in his rifle to Sal, who was still slowly getting out of his sleeping bag. It was a best practice not to intimidate the locals with the big guns, but Jack's pistol stayed in his holster. "Yeah, dude, if they got any lumpia, give it here," Carlos said before a big yawn. "Same," Sal added. Jack walked out of the tent and checked his cargo pocket for money. He had more than enough Philippine pesos to satisfy their requests, and maybe someone else's. Jack casually strolled to the archaeologist's tents, scanning for any sign of Maria, only to be left disappointed finding out that she was gone from her cot. "Hey, sir, you looking for someone?" a middle-aged woman asked politely, although there was a bit of fear in her voice due to the inherent distrust of a security contractor. "Oh, no, just making sure you were all okay," Jack smiled reassuringly. Maybe she was already in the village, he thought. "Oh, yes, there is something," the woman insisted. "Our new archaeologist, Maria, she hasn't been here all night, and I just hope she is safe." Jack felt a chill down his spine. "I'll go see if she's in the village." He was responsible for the protection of everyone in this camp. If Maria had been kidnapped, he had to help her. But where would I start? He started to wonder. Jack quickly navigated the narrow streets of the small village, characterized by 1 to 2 story wooden huts with straw roofs. While much of the area was still covered in dense greenery, telephone poles were erected around the houses and along the streets. Jack's path led him directly to the bustling marketplace, where tables displayed various knickknacks and imitation goods for sale. Along the street, he passed modest restaurants furnished with plastic tables and chairs, each hosting a kitchen in the back of the room. The menus showcased traditional Filipino dishes like pancit and sisig, tempting Jack's hunger. However, his priority was to locate Maria and ensure her safety, all in the name of the archaeological team's well-being. Jack acknowledged that he wasn't typically swayed by a woman's presence, yet there was something compelling about Maria. While he understood the importance of not pursuing her romantically, her sudden disappearance had transformed the situation into a mission to find her and, if necessary, ensure her safety from any potential captors. "Tag-eye! Cheers!" Jack heard a familiar woman's voice cry out from the far corner of the road. After frantically searching the shops, he turned his attention to the bar. There was Maria, in a white t-shirt tied at the front, exposing her tight waist, holding a glass of beer up next to some elderly Filipino men. Jack was confused. Had she been here all night with these men? He thought to himself. Is that what she's into? Jack walked up to the group. Maria glanced at him with embarrassment. "Sorry, gentlemen. This is my owner. I can't play with you anymore," she said in Tagalog. The men laughed at Jack without him understanding why. "Kumusta? Hello," he waved, trying to appear polite but utterly confused. Maria and the men laughed. She picked up her satchel from underneath her, thanked the men, and then strolled back to camp. Jack took off following her. "So, how was your night?" Jack said, mildly annoyed. "Amazing. I'm so grateful," Maria replied, excitedly reminiscing. Jack was confused by the fact that she was having a great time, and she had it with a bunch of older men. What the hell are you doing hanging with older men overnight? Do you know how serious of a security concern that may be?" Jack vented in frustration to her. "Relax, jarhead. I was doing some intelligence gathering for my expedition," she said. "Intelligence gathering? Your expedition?" Jack interrogated. "What are you, some honeypot?" he continued to ask out of the frustration of losing her. Maria turned around with her palm out and with the full swing of her arm smacked Jack square in the cheek. "No, dumbass. If you want to keep being a jarhead, then get the hell away from me. Otherwise, take me to a safe location," she scolded. Jack was pissed that she embarrassed him like that. "Listen, princess, I'm getting your ass back to camp," he growled and put his hand on her shoulder to guide her back to the archaeologists. "I don't need you," Maria yelled back. "Why the hell not?" Jack's face turned deadly serious as he stared into her eyes. "You are one woman in a foreign country who refuses to let people like me, who are paid to protect you, actually do their job. In fact, it's not even the money that I care about when it comes to you. So, why the hell do you continue to think that you can do your own thing? Because I'm trying to save the world. Maria got up real close to Jack, ensuring nobody else could hear how convicted she truly was. If you want in, then I need you to trust me. Jack, still aggravated by the slap, nodded his head. Yes, I know a place we can talk, Jack said. But first, we need something important. Jack led Maria to grab a bag of lumpia for him and the boys. He made Maria pay for it. Later that morning, Jack and Maria made their way back to the aid station where Carlos and Sal were watching a movie on a laptop. Jack unzipped the tent for the two to go inside, and Maria put the two stretchers together to make a large table. Hey, what are you guys up to? Carlos asked Jack. I haven't the slightest clue, Jack said. Maria slung her satchel onto the makeshift table and pulled out a large map and journal. This is actually the medical space. The archaeology tent is the other way, Carlos explained to Maria. She stopped what she was doing and faced the three other men. Boys, I'm only doing this because I trust you, but I am on an expedition of my own. Are you not looking for Yamashita's gold? Jack asked. Jack, there are honestly hundreds of tunnels going through the Philippines, harboring gold that the Imperial Japanese stole. I have no reservations that the Westpac team will find it, Maria explained. I'm looking for something that General Yamashita truly wanted to hide, and it was a lot more important to him than gold, she asserted.